The town of Barnstable is receiving praise again for its financial strength. Could a third bridge solve many of the Cape's traffic problems? We talk about that with a local expert. Plus, a new program will help rebuild some neighborhoods in town following the foreclosure crisis. These stories and more on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Thursday, January 23rd, 2014. I'm Sarah Mantle. Barnstable is again recognized for its keen financial eye. For the 14th year in a row, the Government Finance Officers Association has given Barnstable the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. According to the GFOA, this is the highest form of recognition in governmental budgeting and represents a significant achievement. The Army Corps of Engineers is studying a plan to build a third bridge over the Cape Cod Canal. The plan would be an expensive one, likely requiring tolls. Barnstable This Morning host Sarah Colvin recently talked about the plan with Glenn Cannon. He's the Technical Services Director for the Cape Cod Commission. We share a portion of that interview with you now.
The bridges, and there was a proposal that kind of came to light in December about building a new Sagamore Bridge, a tandem Sagamore Bridge. So what can you tell me about this plan?
I can tell you, I think it's all good news. You know, we've been talking to MassDOT for years about a new bridge. And up to this point, they've always been hesitant to do that. I think more of a cost factor than anything else. I think they've recognized the troubles there. They've also asked us to come back and take a look at the different quadrants to see what could be done for like low-cost solutions. You know, we have done that. We just completed, we're still in the process, say, of the Bourne Rotary reconfiguration. Wasn't well received. I got to be quite honest about that. There's a talk about the Belmont Circle. So we're working on all the quadrants around the canal area, but there just is no easy solution.
Absolutely.
The solution is a new bridge. So I think they finally realized that. They've come to light with that. I still think there's a long way to go. You know, one thing about it that I think a lot of people don't realize is the bridges are under the control of the Army Corps of Engineers.
Right.
So they have final say. I don't know where they stand exactly. We've had some discussions with them. I know they were in favor of a new bridge. I think they may want to talk about location and details of it, which there are a lot of details on it.
Oh, absolutely.
There are, right? And there's a lot of discussion that's going to have to happen. One of the things I haven't seen any discussion about either, and it's always been a sticking point, has been Sandwich Road. So on the Cape side of the canal, the road connecting the Bourne Bridge to the Sagamore Bridge, is congested for numerous hours every single weekend.
Absolutely.
Backed up, the entire length. So I haven't seen any plan for that, how that's going to affect it. So we have a lot of detail to work on.
Absolutely. And so the plan, kind of as it's in its discussion stage right now, is not necessarily to replace the Sagamore Bridge, but to build an almost a twin Sagamore Bridge right next to it, which would kind of minimize the amount of new roads that would have to be put in and land taking and things like that. So can you tell me some specifics of what is on the table right now?
Yeah, that's what we know of right now, is that they plan looking at a twin bridge right beside the Sagamore Bridge, which is also another concern of ours at the Cape Cod Commission. The bridges we have today are very iconic. People recognize those. We want to make sure that new bridge matches what's there. Quite honestly, we don't want the standard MassDOT bridge to go in there. So we want them to spend a little bit of time designing that. But years ago now, when they're still expanding Route 3 coming down from Boston, they have the design ready so that approach can be adapted to come right over to a new bridge.
Right.
Now on the Cape side where the Christmas tree shop is, certainly there's going to have to be some land takings there. There's going to be some impact, so we have to look at that also. But it's much less than, let's say, I've heard people talk about a bridge in the middle of the canal area where there'd be access from both sides. You'd be talking about significant land takings, significant infrastructure that's required. Matter of fact, some preliminary talks we had is that the infrastructure to connect the new bridge would cost as much as the new bridge. So, you're really a cost factor there.
Exactly, and I think those are really all of the things that you have to take into consideration when you're thinking about a project this size. It's not just as simple as, putting a new bridge over the canal. You have to think about all of the roads that connect to it and how that's going to work. So this plan really seems like you know, a smart idea. Now, why build a twin bridge instead of just eliminating the Sagamore and doing a new, wider, larger lane bridge in its place?
Well, that's one of the things to look at too, and you know, you got to look at the cycle cost of the new bridge and then the old bridge and how much life you're going to get out of the old bridge. I know that maintenance is a big issue for the Army Corps of Engineers. I know as much as a headache it is for traffic, I give them a lot of credit because they do a good job of maintaining those bridges. You know, they are in good structural condition. They're functionally obsolete, but structurally sound. And that's the way the Army Corps looks at it. They're not highway people, so they look to make sure that it's structurally sound, and they do a good job with that. But it also costs them a lot of money. I think we're all aware of how often they're maintaining those bridges and what an impact that has on us. So that's a factor we have to think about too when we look at whether or not we are just going to replace the Sagamore Bridge or just build a replacement bridge next to it.
Exactly, and certainly all of this isn't going to come without a large price ticket. I think we're looking at, is it 35 million, 300 million? I mean, what's the kind of money goal that's been thrown around right
Correct.
now?
The money I've seen thrown around is around 300 million, which again is a low end for a bridge. That's one of the things I think people always have a hard time with transportation. It's the cost of transportation infrastructure. It's phenomenal. It's mind-boggling how much things do cost. But trust me, for $300 million, that's actually a fairly inexpensive bridge for spanning the canal. I know it sounds crazy, but it truly is. And again, like say, if we had talked about one bridge in the middle, you know, and if you're talking about one bridge, you know, now you have 8 lanes that are functioning over capacity during, you know, peak season. You know, you'd be talking about maybe an 8 to 10 lane bridge. Right. You know, so it's phenomenal how wide it would be and how big it would be.
Exactly.
So that's one of the factors we have to think about also.
Absolutely. And again, looking at all of the traffic in and out. And they've been talking about perhaps making a toll coming onto the Cape, but again, nothing that you'd have to stop and get out, dig in the car seats for change, if you will. This would be kind of a transponder system where you'd just be able to go on without having to slow down at all.
Correct. There is some of that discussion too, and I think a lot of that needs to be worked out also. You know, I'm not sure how you could really toll one bridge and then leave the other bridges without a toll. You know, I think you might just put undue capacity on those other bridges. Right. So there's a lot of detail there, but there's a lot in technology right now in the tolling. There's a lot of advancements, right? So you don't have to stop. I know the state is talking about going with transponders across the state and not having any toll booths at all on any toll roads. Right. So, you know, the technology's there. They can already do it. I've heard discussions about them putting a chip in your inspection sticker. Wow. So they'll already know which vehicle is traveling over that bridge, and you can be billed at home or into your account. Right.
The Army Corps Commission responsible for studying the plan is expected to release findings sometime next month. The State Attorney General's office is working with the town of Barnstable to revitalize homes that may have fallen into disrepair following the foreclosure crisis. Officials hope the effort will give some neighborhoods new life and keep residents safe. Contractors that are interested in participating can learn more about the program at an informational meeting next week. The meeting will be held Tuesday, January 28th at 10 a.m. in the Town Hall hearing room. Now let's take a look at sports with Brenna McCoubry.
Good evening, Barnstable. I'm Brenna McCoubry, here to bring you the latest on New England and Barnstable High School sports. Last night, the Boston Celtics were in Washington to take on the Wizards. The Seas came out with a win, 113 to 111. They will play again tomorrow in Boston at 7:30 as they host Oklahoma City Thunder. The Boston Bruins don't play until Saturday afternoon. Here, their 1 o'clock matinee will be held in Pennsylvania against the Flyers. New England Patriots have ended their season, but if you're still a football fan, you can catch Super Bowl 48 Sunday, February 2nd at 6:30. The game will be held between Denver Broncos and the Seattle Seahawks in MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. Taking a look at Barnstable High School sports, the girls' varsity basketball team will host Pope John Paul II at 6:30. Later this evening, the girls' gymnastics team will be in a quad meet case between Somerset and Nauset. You can get your basketball fix tomorrow night as all boys and girls teams will be playing Dartmouth. All boys teams will be away, freshmen at 3:30, JV at 5, and varsity at 6:30. Here in Barnstable, in the high school gymnasium, the girls' freshman team will be at 3:30, JV at 5, and varsity at 6:30. Also at 6:30, you can head over to the YMCA to see the boys and girls swim team take on Nauset High School. That's it for New England and Red Raiders sports. Here in Barnstable today, I'm Brenna McCoubry.
That's it for us today. Hope to see you back here tomorrow in the 5 o'clock hour. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mann.